Hey guys, it's Drew. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to build the Academy 1/72 scale Ju-87G Stuka tank buster. And this is my entry into the Pearl Harbor 80th anniversary group build hosted by Charlie Mack and Al Wood. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as usual with planes, we're going to start with the cockpit and then move on with sub-assemblies and yeah, looks like a pretty straightforward build. So there we go. Let's get going. So I'm just painting the interior with Vallejo's Model Air RLM 66. So I'm just going to do a little dry brushing here with some Tamiya silver paint to bring out some highlights in the interior areas. So I'm going to make some seat belts, and all I do is I take some Tamiya tape, put it over some foil. In this case, it's a foil lid from a Pringles can, and I just paint it over with some khaki or some brown, whatever color you want, and then I just cut up small strips and super glue those into the seats. So it's a little cheap way, but at this scale, it looks pretty good. All right, now that I got the cockpit all done and the interior painted, I'm going to start putting the fuselage halves together. And here I'm just adding a little bit of super glue just to give it a little bit more strength. There are nice locator tabs in here, and the cockpit fits really well into the fuselage halves. While the fuselage halves are drying, I'm going to go ahead and assemble the wings. There are some little holes that you have to drill out with a pin vise or your X-Acto knife, and that's for the cannons to fit underneath the wings. The fuselage attaches to the wing assembly, and it's a really good fit. Didn't have any issues. There is a little bit of filler that you need to do at the rear. Other than that, it's pretty tight on the wing root area. So here I'm going to assemble the wheel struts, and I painted the wheels and the inside of the struts with some Tamiya rubber black. You have to put the wheels in when you assemble these two together, and I just masked off the tires when I went to paint the outside of the wheel struts. So I'm going to glue the cannon halves together on the sprue, just so I don't get them mixed up, because one goes on the left wing, one goes to the right wing, and they have these little wings that stick out of them, and I just wanted to make sure I get those correct. So also it makes it a little easier to handle, just to leave them on the sprue. Alright, so I stuffed the cockpit with some wet tissue, and now we're ready to start painting. So I'm just adding a primer coat of Badger Stynylrez Res Gray primer. Here I'm doing some pre-shading with some black paint. It really came through well on the bottom, but on the top, the colors were darker, and it was a little thick. The paint was a little bit thick, so didn't really show through on the top very well. But the bottom with the light blue color had a really good effect. There is a decal for the yellow stripe on the rear part of the fuselage. I wanted to paint it, so I gave it a coat of white paint, and then I'm using the Vallejo Model Air RLM04 yellow. Same thing with the part of the spinner. On the tail band, I found that it was too far back and it was crooked, so I actually redid it at the end. And here I'm using Model Masters Acryl RLM65 light blue, and I'm dipping into the last few bottles of the Model Master paints that I have. I really like these, but they're going away, so I'm pretty much switching over to Vallejo Model Air, and I do use Tamiya paints as well, but I really like the Model Air, and I think it's a good substitute for the Acryl paints. So I got the bottom masked, and now it's time to do the top splinter camouflage. And that's two different colors. It's RLM70 and RLM71. The 71 is a lighter green, and I'm using my Model Masters Acryl again that I've had for a couple years. And what I do is I just use the paint guide on the instructions and just paint the areas that are going to be that color, and then I can mask that off and put down the RLM70 darker green. Okay, once I got the RLM71 down, it's time to move on to the RLM70. So I got the splinter pattern masked off. It took me a while to figure that out. I've never done it before. So for the RLM70, I'm using Tamiya's XF27. It's the black green is what RLM70 is, and that's the color of the props and also the wheel struts. I did not record the spraying of the RLM70. It's pretty straightforward. I just paint it over, and now I'm removing the masks and to check out how it looks. I will say that I had a few mistakes basically just the pattern wasn't quite correct, and so I did do a quick remasking of some areas and resprayed it, and it came out the way I wanted it, so it didn't take too long. Once I got all the masking tape off and corrected some of my mistakes that I made, I gave everything a gloss coat with Model Masters Acro Gloss. Really good stuff. Unfortunately, this is it. This is the last bottle that I have. And it's time for decals. The kit didn't include swastika decals, so I bought an aftermarket set. These are from Kids World, and they worked really well. This will probably last me the rest of my life. After the decals had set, I gave everything a coat of satin varnish, which works really well to help these clay-based washes stick into the panel lines. And this is Florey's clay-based wash. It's real easy. There's no there's a little messy, but there isn't any chemicals in it. It's just water, clay, and glycerin, I believe, and it works really well. So after it dries for about 20 or 30 minutes, you just take a damp cloth and start wiping it away, and it stays in the recessed panel lines. For the underside, I'm going to mix dark dirt with light dirt just to tone it down. I don't want it to be so stark against that light blue. Alright guys, one of the last things I need to do is install these aileron controls. Now, I left them off on purpose because I'm sure I can knock those off pretty easy when I'm doing the washes and moving it around. So I'm going to put those on and yeah, start putting in the last few pieces, and this kit will be done. I'm going to use some PVA glue to attach the canopies. These were a pain to mask, so I would definitely suggest spending $10 and getting a canopy mask set from Edward. It would save you some headaches. Took me a while, but I think I got it masked pretty well. Prior to putting these window pieces on, I did give everything a coat of Vallejo matte varnish. And last few things to do here, I'm just using some Tamiya clear red and clear blue to paint the formation lights. And now I'm going to attach a antenna wire using Easy Line, and this kit will be done. Okay guys, here's the completed model, and pretty happy the way it turned out. I really didn't have any major issues with it. It goes together pretty well, and I'm pretty happy the way it came out. I painted the stripe on instead of using the decal on this area there, and I've got the landing lights for formation lights painted. You can see the bottom. I'd have to say that these Academy decals are the best I've ever used as far as being stock Academy decals. I know a lot of their newer kits have cartograph decals in them, but these are just regular Tamiya or Academy decals, and they went down really well, and they were really easy to work with, and so I'm pretty pleased with that. And as you saw, I had to source the decals for the swastikas, and I got some aftermarket decals from Kits World, and yeah, really fun build. The decals on the wheels, on the wheel housing or whatever they call it, they don't really conform well to the shape, and so I had to cut them a little bit and then basically just put some put some weathering pattern stuff on them to kind of hide the wrinkles on the sides. But there we go. I gotta be careful because these little, even for a 172 kit, they put these I guess they're aileron actuators, or there might be counterbalances on the wings, so be careful not to break those off. But yeah, really fun kit. So I'd have this to wrap up this video. I do have a slideshow for you if you want to take a look at that, and if you get this kit, it should be a lot of fun for you. And alright guys, thanks for watching. Appreciate you subscribing, and stay tuned for the slideshow, and I'll see you on the next build. Thank you.